Let's dive right into today's explainer, where we're breaking down one of the most notoriously brutal, controller-smashing areas in all of Dark Souls. We are, of course, talking about the treacherous descent into the Tomb of the Giants. This place is famous for breaking even the most seasoned players. But here's the thing. By actually analyzing the mechanics beneath the surface, studying the enemy behavior, and understanding the environment, we can absolutely turn a seemingly impossible nightmare into a calculated victory.
This is what I do, my friend. The trinkets I'll be stripping off your corpse, that's the real treasure. That wonderfully two-faced quote from our old buddy Patches brilliantly illustrates the exact mindset you're up against the moment you step foot in the catacombs. The game isn't just trying to beat you in a fair, head-to-head fight. No, it is actively trying to deceive you, lure you in, and literally strip the trinkets off your corpse.
So, this brings us to a massive question for anyone brave enough to traverse the depths. How exactly do you survive a world that constantly tricks you? How do you outsmart a realm explicitly designed to end your run over and over again? Well, it's not just about reflexes. It requires deep strategy, heavy preparation, and knowing exactly what's lurking ahead in the pitch black.
To survive, we're going to follow this 4-part checklist today. First, navigating the dark. Second, deadly NPC invaders. Third, surviving skeleton beasts. And fourth, defeating Gravelord Nito.
Starting off with Part 1, navigating the dark and shedding some much-needed light on the Tomb of the Giants. Look, you absolutely cannot just stumble blindly into the tomb. Preparation is crucial here, and you're going to need a very specific tool, the Skull Lantern. Now, this drops from the necromancers up in the earlier levels of the catacombs, and it serves a brilliant dual purpose. First, obviously, it acts as a light source that actually reveals these glowing hidden path markers on the walls. But second, it doubles as a fire-damage strike weapon. You essentially hold it up like a shield, illuminating the deadly drops and whatever feral threats are waiting for you just a few feet away. Moving on to Part 2, deadly NPC invaders and dealing with the human threats. If you look at the 5 hardest NPC invaders across the entire game, you'll see a pretty wild variety in how they use the environment to their advantage. We've got everyone from Kirk down at number 5 with that incredibly annoying spiked armor that physically damages you just by him rolling into you, all the way up to Marvelous Chester at number 1. Chester is a massive headache who looks like he wandered straight in out of Bloodborne, and he uses a super dangerous sniper crossbow and bleed-inducing throwing knives to keep you on the defensive. But when we're specifically talking about the Tomb of the Giants, the human threat you really need to worry about is our number 2 ranked invader, Paladin Leroy. The math in this encounter is just deadly. It is heavy weapons plus narrow ledges equals a deadly plunge. When Leroy invades, it happens in a highly precarious cliffside spot. You have to actively dodge the slow, crushing overhead attacks from his massive weapon Grant while meticulously watching your step on a remarkably narrow ledge. Make one wrong block, just one, and either you or Leroy are plummeting straight into the abyss. In this fight, positioning is literally everything.
All right, Part 3, surviving the skeleton beasts, those feral abominations.
If you've made it this far, you know exactly what these things are. These giant skeletal abominations walk on all fours and are just incredibly dangerous. They use a relentless attack cycle. They've got this lunging bite that can easily drain your entire stamina bar and push you right back over a ledge, even if you're actively blocking. They also rely on these rapid-fire, repeated claw swipes, where taking one hit pretty much guarantees you're getting caught by the second. And maybe most frighteningly, if you try to play it smart and sneak up to attack them from behind, they can instantly turn around and catch you off guard. They are feral, they are lightning fast, and they hit like an absolute truck. So choosing the right counter tactic here is do or die, and you essentially have 2 main paths. The stealth strategy takes advantage of a hidden weakness. These beasts actually have a surprisingly short aggro range. If you've memorized your route in the dark, you can avoid detection entirely and literally just run right past them. On the flip side, the melee strategy requires some heavy preparation. You're going to want to equip a very high stability shield, something like the Eagle Shield with its 70 stability rating. You inch forward, let your shield tank their first heavy hit, and then wait patiently for their claw swipe animation to end before you safely counterattack. Finally, Part 4, defeating Gravelord Nito, the first of the dead. Gravelord Nito's lore is just legendary. He was among the original lords to wage war against the everlasting dragons way back at the dawn of the Age of Fire. Now, as the first of the dead, he waits deep down within his tomb, holding on to one of the 4 coveted Lord Souls and chilling with his personal, constantly regenerating army of skeletons. So what are you actually up against? Well, Nito is feared for a truly devastating moveset. He can summon the Gravelord Sword Dance, these giant orange swords that literally burst from the ground right underneath you, causing massive toxic buildup. He swings a colossal toxic sword, and he has a highly damaging grab attack that you have to furiously mash buttons to escape. But his most interesting move is actually his Death Wave. It's this massive dark area of effect explosion. While it definitely damages and staggers you, you can actually use this totally to your advantage because it instantly wipes out his own roaming skeleton minions. He essentially does your crowd control for you.
Because Nito is fairly slow and, crucially, extremely vulnerable to fire pyromancies, you have two highly effective approaches for taking him down depending on your build. For a melee strategy, the absolute secret is to stay right by the arena entrance when you first drop down. If you run to the back, you will wake up the giant skeletons, and you do not want that. Bring a divine weapon to permanently put down the smaller skeletons so they stop regenerating, and then exploit his weakness to fire. But if you prefer a ranged strategy, there is a fascinating trick to completely bypass his skeletal army.
Seriously, for magic users or archers, this is an incredible, almost game-breaking exploit that completely neutralizes the hardest part of this boss fight by just manipulating the game's own aggro mechanics. Here's how it works. You equip the Ring of Fog and the Slumbering Dragon Crest Ring to make yourself completely invisible and silent. Then you drop into the arena. The cinematic ends, and you literally do not touch your controller. If you stand completely still, the skeletons won't see or hear you, but Nito will slowly lumber toward you all by himself. From there, you can just attack him safely from a distance.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. When you look at how easily a prepared player can exploit his weaknesses, using divine weapons to permanently kill his minions, utilizing fire to completely melt his health bar, or literally just standing perfectly still in the dark with the right rings to break his artificial intelligence, it kind of leaves us to wonder, is Gravelord Nito truly the terrifying Lord of Death, or was the First of the Dead really just another puzzle waiting for you to dismantle him? It just goes to show that in this game, knowledge and preparation are and always will be your greatest weapons.